Hello, adventurers. Welcome to Dark Alchemy. Tonight, we're interviewing the boys from Crit One and Done, a group of adventurers and dungeon masters who live stream their Dungeons & Dragons contents and also just have a good time within the D&D community. Tonight, I'm joined by my fellow Dark Alchemist, the Dead Professor Scott.
Hey, everybody.
I'm joined by my Dungeon Master, DM Evanson.
How's it going?
I have Chris, the current Dungeon Master and Painter for Crit One and Done.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And I have Mike from Crit One and Done, who's also a Dungeon Master, but currently a player in the Thieves campaign.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. So we're going to start tonight by sharing some war stories, as I call them. Maybe a favorite moment from a Dungeons & Dragons, a favorite character, a favorite DM moment to really get you in the Dungeons & Dragons mood. So Chris, from Crit One and Done, can you start us off? Do you have a favorite moment?
Yeah, so this is only my third ever campaign we've been playing. So I've only played two characters since I'm a DM now. My first was a human cleric named Biggs, Brother Biggs the Pious. And then I also played a tiefling warlock, Falindil Nevra. I would say he was definitely the fan favorite over here at Crit One and Done. And yeah, he was just smack talking, womanizing, just degenerate. So
big personality.
Big personality, high charisma score.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. I like that. And Mike, do you have a favorite character, favorite story, favorite moment?
So the favorite. So like Chris said, we've only as a group played. This is only our third campaign ever playing Dungeons and Dragons. So we're still just kind of scratching the surface of all of this. But right now I'm playing a character called Dangar Malice. He's a high elf draconic sorcerer. But the character that I played in the last campaign I had a lot of fun with was a halfling ranger called Scraglow Oakenleaf. One of the themes that we kind of got going was the campaign was set in 10 towns. And just as the campaign went going on, we kind of hopped from town to town. And just the recurring theme was that every time we went into one of the towns, it was Scraglow's made it his business to try and become the mayor of that town. So Scraglow's political aspirations kind of became woven into the theme of the campaign, which was a lot of fun. And it just, Austin, who DM'd that one, just kind of shot it down every town that we went into, but it still made an effort. Who's the mayor of this town?
Still tried.
Okay. And
did he ever hold any political office?
Nope, not one.
10 towns is rough climate.
Yeah.
That's a rough campaign setting. So, what about you, DM Evanson? Do you have a favorite moment? Mostly you dungeon master, occasional player.
Favorite moment playing was probably one of my first campaigns when we destroyed a city.
Nice.
Actually, and then we're just like, wow, at this point, let's see what happens. Which backfired terribly. Favorite moment played was probably with you guys, and well, you particularly with all your pulling of deck of many things and causing all that chaos.
I was like this with the deck of many things. Yeah, all sorts of bad stuff was happening.
Lost all his fortune. Became
Lost all his magic items.
Lost all his magic items. Became immune to immunity.
I was invulnerable, so I was letting people stab me on the dock for money.
Let people stab him on the dock and punch him, and then he pulled another one, which summoned an ancient white dragon that was set to kill him. And then he pulled another one and gave him the plague. And then the plague gave it to the white dragon.
It took me up in the air, tried to eat me, and then I plagued in his mouth, and then it dropped me from 500 feet. My neck hit the dock, but I was immune. And then the town ate well that night. That was a good one. I think that was one of my favorites.
It was the most random luck of failing upwards I've ever seen.
Yes, that was failing upwards.
I think
what about you? Okay, go, Chris.
No, I was just going to say one of my favorite specific things that happened was since Austin hasn't jumped on was with his character that he played in my campaign. He played a barbarian, and it was almost like a gladiatorial kind of battle in an arena. And he killed, one of the gladiators he was fighting against. And I asked him how he wanted to do it. He said, well, I want to hit him with my mace and, knock his teeth out and this and that. And then he said, wait, I want to roll athletics. I want to catch the tooth. Okay, great. He rolled like a 19. So, okay, you catch his tooth. He was like, I want to eat the tooth. I was like, okay, roll Constitution. And he rolled that. I was like, okay, you eat his tooth. And we gave him inspiration because he ate the tooth of his, and he was Crixus the Tooth Eater for the rest of the campaign.
Oh, I love that. He earned a name. So let's say that's a Dungeon Master tip for everybody listening. It's the how do you want to do this, Scott? That came from
Critical Role.
That came from
I mean,
Critical Role.
that's where I first heard it.
Yeah.
And
It's a great way to give the players some agency, creating the scene at the end, or paint how they like to do it. It's nice.
Yeah, to get them involved. I like that. So, Professor, do you have a favorite moment that comes to mind besides your brother Roy Angamar's moments?
Well, no, it wasn't Roy Angamar moment. The one I was going to say, it was we were in the midst of basically overthrowing a city in Dave's previous campaign, and we're on top of this watchtower battling, and I've literally fireballed like multiple barrels of gunpowder, and the whole roof is blown off this tower, and it's Roy's turn, and he reaches into his bag and pulls out a pair of weasels and throws them at the bad guy. And both weasels proceed to miss, and he fumbled and tripped and fell off the tower. And that was just how his game went.
Yeah, but I want to have a little clarity for that. Scott makes excellent characters. He's very smart, very tactical, good use of his abilities and his spells. He comes in, slashes with the sword, casts a spell, sidekick the one guy, light the barrel, do this, that. And my turn comes around. I'm like, oh, I guess I got nothing to do. Let me throw my magic weasels and badgers at the guy and to knock him off the cliff. But it did not go well. And in my defense, DM Evanson did give me a special magic item that I could summon attack weasels. So
I didn't expect to use it 9 months later at the boss.
Forgot about
Here,
that
send
ability.
your weasels at an orc.
I'd like to share a Dungeon Master moment I had this week. So we are starting a second Dungeons & Dragons campaign in the world of Arendor, a world of our design, and they're at Myers End, which is a big swamp. And this is the first time 5 other people have played since first and maybe second edition, probably mostly first edition.
Yeah.
And they were not into playing. We have a big group. There's not enough there's too many for a board game. So I said, let's play D&D. And they kind of grumbled, but now they're in love with it. So there's one scene where they go into the swamp, and it wasn't planned at all. I had a different fight for them to learn. But I was like, you know what? They're over here. Let's have some swamp zombies come out. Swamp zombies come out, they start attacking. So each player was able to attack a swamp zombie in its own way and do their own type of damage. The professor's character had a crossbow that shot radiant damage like a sniper. Another guy was a dwarf. He jumped off the top tower. But how I really captured the players was with the Dungeon Master's description. The one player was a monk doing a necrotic punch. And I said, well, you don't know if the necrotic damage is going to damage the swamp zombie. He failed his kind of arcane check. And I said, you could try, but you don't know. So he's like, I want to do it, because they were taking half damage from non-magic. So he punches the zombie, and it was enough to kill him because they were not immune to necrotic. But the way I described it was, you hit the zombie with this necrotic damage, and it doesn't actually hit the zombie flesh, but all the roots and moss and living stuff from the swamp that's growing the zombie, that disintegrates and crumbles. And one of the players who was in the campaign is like, oh my God, that was awesome. And it really sucked them into that thing. So leading into that, as the current Dungeon Master, Chris, how do you try to really bring your characters into the world and immerse them, besides like the joking around and stuff? Do you have any techniques, or are you still learning that?
I mean, it's always a learning effort in progress for me, but I tend to prep before our sessions. Like, we usually try to keep a consistent schedule, playing like about every 2 weeks. So I'll give myself that period in time to paint more things, and then also to write more. But like I had said before we started, that basically it doesn't always go as planned. So I try to be as descriptive as possible, trying to get the guys really involved in the setting, and do some world building. And but sometimes they come up with a lot of the stuff themselves. So I learn from them as well.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? Is there something that really immerses you in the campaign, or something you find interesting?
I mean, I would say for me, it's kind of like the end of what Chris was saying. At least when I was DMing, me and Chris's styles are very different. Where I know Chris prepares a lot, and so everything is like very nicely set up. And when we go somewhere, there's reason for us to be there, and there's a backstory, and there's characters, and And it might have just been because I was the first DM that we had and just kind of was winging it. Like the first session we did was literally, it was a piece of loose leaf paper and me and Chris and Austin sitting at my dining room table. Like
that's how I've been doing it for 50 years.
How we all started.
But the thing that I kind of like doing was just, okay, you completed a task and just leave it as open-ended as possible. I like the winging it aspect of it, where it's like, if you have total agency, you're going to be invested in it because this is what you want to do. If you want to go that way, I'll figure out how for you to go that way. If you want to go do something, if you want to jump off a building, okay, jump off a building, and we'll figure out what happens when you do that.
Yeah. So Roy, got 2 DM tips that just came up there that you can throw out. So the first one is something Chris said, right? Let the players describe and fill in the blanks, right?
Oh yeah, I like that.
So something we talked about just the other night, like I said, we're playing in Myers End for the first time, made up characters with brand new players, and one of them was like, I'm a Goliath and I'm from a mountain tribe. And we had not placed that in the world. So we're like, great, tell us all about your town. Write it up, give it to us, and we'll add it to the world. You know, you just created that space with notes. And the other one with what Chris said, is that when you give that open agency, Mike said, that open agency to the characters and let them go anywhere, you're the dungeon master, right? It doesn't matter what you've created. They don't know where it is. So if you have an adventure for a mage tower and they go left and you originally thought it was right, you move it to the left and you figure out something else if they go right later.
Yeah. Exactly. Any way to chime in there?
Sandbox.
Dungeon Master Evanson?
I agree. Like Scott said it perfectly, and same with Mike.
So let me ask this for Mike and Chris. How did you guys meet? When did you start playing together?
So we started, I think, like a year and a half ago at this point, Chris, right?
Yeah,
something
about
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all,
pretty much.
So we're all pretty tight knit in that Chris is my next door neighbor.
Oh, nice, wow. Perfect.
Good commute.
And why can't you guys move near me?
Yeah, Chris is my next door neighbor. Matt is my little brother.
Really?
Awesome.
Okay.
And Austin, I've known since I was 5 years old. We grew up in Farmingdale together.
Very cool.
So Austin, I mean, my brother, I know he's super into anime, and he's been a gamer forever, and he never
gamers.
We're all gamers, but he had never looked into D&D. Austin is actually the only one who had any D&D experience before us, and he had played like one campaign with some of his other friends, and when I had mentioned it to him, because we had both gotten into Baldur's Gate. So I had asked, I was like, yo, I'm playing this game Baldur's Gate. It's awesome. It's around D&D. Like, would you want to check that out with me? And Austin was like, bro, I'm so happy you just asked me that.
That's awesome.
So
my dreams answered.
Yeah. So as soon as we had that initial conversation, it just like snowballed from there. And I was like, I'll try and DM and we'll figure it out. And 2 weeks later,
one of us moments, right?
Yeah.
You're one of us.
Yeah, one of us.
Awesome. Yeah, that game definitely inspired a whole new generation of GMs and players. It's great.
Yeah. And supposedly on Amazon, they're going to be making a Dungeon Dragon series, I think. So that'll inspire even more people.
Well, they already did. I'm wearing the shirt, Vox Machina.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's true. Vox Machina is amazing. I
so good.
Like that. Yeah. They've done a good job with that. So So as new players and new dungeon masters who are going into this world and having a good time, like, why'd you guys decide to start live streaming? And this is, we can follow you on Instagram at crit_1_n_done. That's crit1and_done on Instagram. And we can link probably all the socials from there. We'll put your links down below. Awesome. What made you guys decide to jump into live streaming instead of just playing?
You want to take that one, Mike?
Sure. So that was actually Matt's idea, my brother. Me, Chris, and Austin were all around this, mid to late 30s. Matt is 25, 26. So he's been on Twitch forever. Which to me was like a foreign concept. Like, why are you going to go watch someone else? Why are you going to watch someone else play a video game if you could just play the video game? But he was the one who told us about all these D&D live streamers. And we were like, you know what? If people could want to hang out and watch us play and give us feedback, and like, why not? And then
if you make one or two people happy, the world's a better place, right?
Yeah. And then from there, when I started looking into it and Chris started looking into it, a lot of the live stream D&D different groups and campaigns and stuff was a lot of remote games, where it was we wanted to do something where we wanted to feel like you're hanging out at the table with us. And it works because the three of us live in West Babylon together, and my brother lives in Farmingdale, so we're all we're close, so we're able to do it in person. But it's taken a good amount of tweaking with the different camera angles and lights, and so that it looks at least semi-presentable for now. But our whole idea was we want it to look like you're hanging out at the table with us.
Who's like the technical guy then, Mike? Are you like the tech guy? Are you like internet the most? Is it kind of a combination?
It's kind of a combination. I feel like I have the best handle on the streaming program that we use. I tweak that the most, but Austin, we use Streamlabs.
Okay.
Which, I mean, really just kind of by default, because that was the first one that we
didn't do a lot of research.
Yeah.
That's the first one I started messing with too. It's I think free to use too, and easy.
Yeah. And we've just been tweaking it ever since, and it is a little finicky, and that's why Chris was saying we spend at least 45 minutes before our sessions, just like, because we have 5 cameras now, and they're all it's not like Chris's basement is a studio where we just leave everything there.
Yeah,
it kind of is a studio now.
But every time we go back into play, there's always a little, okay, well, this camera is now looking only at one person. Like, this is the player cam. All the players need to be on this camera. This is the overhead cam. It should probably have the table in view. And we have the zoom cam that we want to be able to show Chris spends a lot of time painting all our minis. So we got a nicer camera to be like our zoom camera so that you can actually see the details on the board. And because when we originally set it up, it was a bunch of $10, $15 webcams, and
like I said in our green room chat before, I do some photography, some video, and we're doing this content and we're doing our own D&D content. But you fall down a rabbit hole for equipment. You're always like, well, can I buy this, buy that? Like Professor Scott, we picked up some equipment, right?
Yep. So I figured, hey, we're gonna do sound, right? So I bought an 8-channel soundboard. Like, because we have to have each voice individual, right? It's got to have its own channel because I need to be able to mute him when he's talking. And so we fell down that rabbit hole. Still have only used it with one channel.
Well, we'll get there when we start up on the next thing.
Yeah. But that's a good point, though. It is almost exclusively remote online, whether it's YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see a home sesh like that. So.
Yeah.
I also noticed a lot of people don't play with minis either.
Yeah.
I guess you have your traditionals, pen and paper, or pencil and paper. You have the people D&D Beyond, which we kind of we made our characters on there.
Sure.
But we like the aspect of having the minis on the board and having more of that visual thing going on.
Yeah, I think that goes with the playing remote, right? They all use a VTT because they can't see the minis, and they're not sending a camera. They're not sending a video feed to each other to look at the minis, so they end up using a VTT. And so for us, we started with graph paper, right? Roy and I did. We started with graph paper, and, Theater of the Mind, and we were kind of DM's telling you move 10 feet north and you turn to the right, and then you're trying to make a map and figure out where the hell you're going. And then we started using minis at some point, but they were still metal, and we were painting with testers paint,
lead,
horrible. And then we get to what we've got now, and it's like different world.
It's a different world.
So for anybody, taverns.
For anybody listening, whether it's the podcast or YouTube, there's nothing against playing virtual. If that's what you have.
Of course,
COVID, right? But I encourage you, if possible, try to get a live session in. Try to get people together. It goes back to the ancient days of sitting around a campfire and telling stories, right? You sit around a table and you're playing a game, and you actually have these shared experience together that, it's a storytelling game. You have the shared experience that even when we're at a barbecue or out, hanging out as friends, me and Scott, we go to the gym, and we were talking about, a war story. We're talking about what happened at the last campaign. Oh yeah, that zombie did this, or our dungeon master Dave, he threw invisible people at us, and we're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do with it when they show up next time? And you end up talking about that stuff, and it becomes like a story that really happened, and it's really sitting around that table that I think really gives it that better aspect.
I'll be talking with Austin about the teeth eater thing forever.
Exactly. And then your wives or your girlfriends look at you funny, like, "Can you talk about regular stuff, guys?"
Yeah.
Sounds like
my wife's already upset the basement's being converted into what she says a real dungeon. So you know,
we got to get her in a game. Got to get her in a game, Chris.
I know.
That's great.
So let's talk about your current campaign and how you're rotating dungeon masters. You're live streaming the Thieves Gambit right now.
Yes, sir.
And whose campaign is that?
That is mine.
Okay, so Chris, kick us off. Tell us a bit about the Thieves Gambit. I don't want you to give any spoilers away because Mike is here, unless he put his earmuffs on.
Yeah.
But
so my idea in general, which the players do know about, we discussed this beforehand, was, the general theme of this was, I don't know, I can't even tell you where I came up with the idea or why, but I wanted to have a campaign of a bunch of criminals that are gonna perform this heist.
Okay.
So basically, it's like a heist campaign. We haven't even touched that in the main story yet, but they know it's coming at some point.
Session 7, you said, and you haven't touched it?
We're on session 7. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Side quests.
A lot of side quests.
Yeah.
Bastion building.
Yeah, but I as far as we had what we called our session 0 months back, where we all sat down and gave our expectations to each other, and I laid out the story, and I told them, I'm leaving it up to you guys. I don't care what you make as far as the character goes, but I just need them to be some sort of criminal. They all have to be shady. They don't have to be chaotic evil, but they can't be Mr. Goody Two Shoes either. So, and that's where they came up with their characters. And Mike, do you remember how we came up with the Silent Specters? That they're part of the organization? Was that my idea, or I don't even remember?
That I don't remember specifically how that
yeah, so they're all in
very nice.
They're all in a criminal organization together called the Silent Specters, and that's what they do. They perform jobs, and they're just trying to eke their way through the existence of Baldur's Gate. So,
well, Mike, you're the current player here, so why don't you take us through your Silent Spectre character?
So my character's name is Dangar Malice. He's a high elf draconic sorcerer with a blue dragon bloodline. And my character's kind of motivation for being a thief is he was a very proud high elf, and his great grandfather, somewhere along the line that he was from this proud family, one of his relatives lost their entire fortune. His whole family name got kind of trashed and kicked in the dirt, and his motivation is to bring the Malice name back to prominence, and does not care in what manner that happens.
I like that. Just make it happen.
He's a bit cold-hearted, Dangar.
He's definitely he's lawful evil, in that his sole mission is to bring the Malice name. He's not like Chris said, he's not a good character. Like, he views high elves above everyone else. He hates drow. Any of the other creatures or humanoids that live underground, he can't stand them. That's something that we've bumped into a little bit too, is him dealing with that. And
you were this close to murdering a drow child, so
yeah. But it's a
high magic very high magic campaign. High magic, low magic world, mid magic.
Oh, you Forgotten Realms, right?
Yeah, Forgotten Realms. We're taking place in Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm actually not familiar with the terms that you're throwing out.
Okay, so why don't you take this one, either DM Evanson or Dead Professor? Want to explain high magic, low magic?
High magic is just everything is possible as far as magic. You could have airships. You could be as close to having, warcasters that are in the Forge. Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting the name of them now. The robot ones.
The Warforged.
Oh, yeah, Warforged.
Artificers, Warforged.
Yeah, Artificers. Where magic is available almost in every street corner. You could, buy it. And it's not like, oh my God.
People use magic for commonplace things like, kitchens might have a tamed fire elemental in the stove.
Yeah. Where low magic won't be like, the wizard is like, oh my God, it's a miracle. He has magic,
Gandalf.
Lord of the Rings.
It could be as little as Lord of the Rings.
I would say mid magic then, if we're going by those standards.
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, because I'm like, while we're doing this, I'm like kind of working on the backstory for my campaign. Yeah. My campaign would then definitely probably be considered low magic.
Cool.
Yeah, so low magic. If somebody pulls out a potion of healing, that's almost like holy smoke. If somebody has a magic sword and it goes on fire, like that might only be like a captain or something.
Mind's
like,
blown.
Not everybody has magic items. If you find a magic sword, it's like, oh wow, like that guy's got a magic sword. He could probably kill the dragon. Where a high magic world, okay, round up the wizards and they're all throwing meteors at the dragon.
Changing planes, multiverse jumping.
Yeah.
So in our world of Erendor, it's high magic. The professor's character Shara bought a teapot that every day at 4 p.m. makes tea.
Nice.
Pretty high magic.
Convenient.
And there is a Dungeon Master Evanson. I believe there's a bar, and if you go to the back of the bar, you can actually teleport to another bar in the other part of the world. It's like a teleportation circle, right?
Yeah.
So
I have a
bar crawl.
Yeah, right? Teleportation to a little paradise island.
Let me interrupt here 1 second. We have a gentleman joining the stage. Let's
Hey.
add Mr. Austin to the stage.
There he is.
So
There he is.
we have Austin from Crit One and Done. Austin, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself so we can hear your lovely voice?
Hey guys, how's it going? Austin from Crit One and Done here. Thanks for having me. Sorry about showing up late.
All good.
No, it's all good. We kind of went through some dungeon mastering stuff. Right now, we're talking about the Thieves Gambit campaign and high versus low magic. So we just talked to Mike from Crit One and Done about his character. Austin, do you want to take us through your Thieves Gambit character because they're all a little bit on the other side of the law?
Yeah, I'm playing Thaddeus Undersnatch. He's a human rogue. He's a orphan.
I think I saw Thaddeus' picture.
Yeah.
Hitting the pipe.
Yeah.
He's an orphan. He grew up on the streets of Baldur's Gate, and since he was very young, he was always on. Had to learn to steal, just try to get by, and that led him to be the thief and the rogue and the sneaky person he is today.
I like that. And let's pull you in for one more question, Austin. In the beginning, we talked about kind of like a favorite moment for the character, or a favorite moment in one of the games. Does anything come to mind or really stand out with any of your characters? Any moments that you really can reminisce upon or laugh about?
Thaddeus is very deceivious and very stealthy.
Yeah.
Just like doing certain things like deceiving people or like trying to stealth around and just being so proficient at that I'm rolling like a 33 to deceive people.
Ridiculous numbers.
We keep
rolling
thinking
like
he's cheating.
a 32 to like stealth by these guards. Just like ridiculous numbers.
So Chris, how do you handle the high rolls then? Does that bother you at all as a dungeon master? You just kind of go with it or assume that
I mean,
Thaddeus
one of the first
past
times he did it, we're all looking at him like, "Are you serious? Like, like how many proficiencies do you have in things, and how many modifiers? Like, but I know he's telling the truth. I mean, I could see his character
Right,
in D&D Beyond.
Well, just to segue here, what level are you guys in this campaign? Just so people
Everyone
have some context to what those roles are.
Well,
We're currently 12.
yeah,
Chris,
Oh wow!
I did
Chris
things a little
started, yeah.
differently. I wanted
Excellent.
to start them off higher level, because all our other campaigns we started at like 3, I
Three.
think. Yeah, so I wanted to try something different. I wanted to have them have more abilities, be more seasoned characters, and I knew taking that on was going to be a lot more responsibility because they have more abilities, they can do more. I have to like amp up the encounters,
Absolutely.
But I gave myself that challenge, and we're still doing it. So
That's cool. Yeah, the high level, level 10 or above is awesome.
yeah.
So that's gonna be
DM
fun.
Evanson, as a dungeon master, how do you handle some of the high rolls? The professor's character Shara is putting out some high persuasion rolls over 25.
Yeah, I always
I'm
assume
able
they're
to get some
lying.
higher kind of checks.
You see those dice?
Yeah, you got to go with it. That's why once you ask for a die roll, you're adding chaos into the game. They could roll terribly, and then you're not giving them the information you want, or they're gonna get the information because they rolled amazing and they have all the buffs, and they got this. The bard's helping, and this one's helping, and next thing you know, the 35 is rolled, and you're telling secrets.
Well, I mean, to be fair, last night one of our characters needed, I think, a 21 to hit. And
Yeah.
it took him a D20 plus 7 plus 2 D8s to get there. So you can't say we always roll well.
No, not always. But you just got to go with it. It's part of the game. So once you ask them to roll, you got to be like, whatever. You got to be knowing that they are going to probably succeed, and you got to have that tucked under your hat somewhere. But
I was going to say, being we don't have our last player here, and it's your brother, Mike. Do you want to just quickly give a rundown on Matt's character?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay. I think my headset just died.
We're still here though.
Yeah. So Matt's character is he's a half orc named Jack Darkfist. He's 7 feet tall, is about 300 pounds. So he's a monk fighter, multi-class. So his whole idea behind it was he wanted to make a monk not look like a traditional monk. So most of the monks you think of like a Bruce Lee kind of slim, calm, wave the open hand, like very precise. He wanted it to be the opposite, just a big, heavy, but still very focused and put together character, where he was a soldier and kind of got tired of needless killing. And so there's so he just him and Austin's character actually have a little bit of a religious undertone. So they're both followers of Mask, and that's kind of where their characters met, and where Matt's character, Jack Darkfist, kind of got led into the life of a thief, was through their worship of the god Mask.
Okay.
I like that. So I'm going to remove Mike for 1 second. He's going to check his headset, and we're going to go on with the questions. He should still be able to see. We'll see him on the bottom. So, Chris, let me ask you this: are you using a pre-written module, Keys of Golden Vault? Are you modifying anything from Beyond D&D? This is all kind of handwritten. Can you tell me about your process?
Yeah. So basically, when I started, Austin, do you recall if I had purchased the books prior to us starting Thieves Gambit, or was it like during it?
I feel like during the writing process, you were buying the books. Like you started writing some stuff, and then you started to buy the books and read them, and then started to change and write even more.
Yeah, because basically what I did was I knew they were coming out with the new rule set, the 3 books, DM Manual, Player's Handbook, and Monster Manual. And the second I knew about that, I was like, I want to get them once they release. But I started coming up with the whole campaign just off the top of my head. I didn't use any kind of source books or anything like that. But then obviously once I picked up the manuals and everything, I was using things I learned in there to help me write along on the campaign and add in certain types of creatures and NPCs and stuff like that. So,
well, the Bastion, Chris, was a big part of that, right?
The Bastion was a big part of that because prior to
we love a good Bastion talk.
Yeah, man. So basically, before this campaign, that wasn't a thing. That was not part of the rule set. So once I found out about that, like right at the end of the DM manual, because yes, I did read it cover to cover, and I was like, whoa, this would be sick if I threw in this for the guys, and I know they're gonna love it. And if you want to hold on 1 second, hold on.
Nope, props.
So
Props.
He's gonna go get the Bastion. So again, this is something that we're a little bit spoiled that we have someone like Chris that buys and spends so much time meticulously painting all of this stuff.
Here, without the roof, is the player's Bastion.
Nice.
Nice.
But it's fully playable. All the
wow.
floors on it and everything. I fleshed out all the details. We had a whole conversation about I let them pick all the different NPC names and kind of like a little story background for each of them. I'm not following the rules to the T about like, orders taking 7 days and stuff like that, or
you can modify that.
Exactly, or a specific amount of space needs to be used within the Bastion for each facility and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm making it fair enough, and I think it's a pretty cool addition to the game.
Yeah, we're getting our first chance. Really, I mean, it was just the last session that we gave my librarian like his first bit of research for different uses of smoke powder, because we just throughout the campaign we came across a couple big barrels of smoke powder. So we want to know what we can do with it, where we can sell it, how much it's worth, who we could sell it to, what we could use it to craft, or
Yeah,
you might need to.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow night
to break into vaults and stuff, and that's part
right.
of it.
Yeah, tomorrow night, I think that information will be ready for you. So.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So, did you do a level 12 Bastion with everybody combined and kind of use the rules of that? Because Bastions are new in 2024, but myself and Scott going back and probably Dave too, we've always had something like that, but it's always been homebrew and rules. Everybody wants a home to live in, and you say it's always, can we take over this tavern? Can we take over this inn or something like that, or Wizard Town? So we've had in the past, but it's nice to have a more defined rule set to go through. So did you make it a level 12 all combined, or just kind of like home brewing what the current rules are?
Yeah, well, basically, once I looked up the rule set for the Bastion, I saw that, certain facilities require a certain level. So I did stick to that. I wasn't going to let them have, like, the best of the best. Also, like,
players have the best.
Yeah. I also explained to them that, yeah, God forbid. Certain facilities cost a lot more than others, so we didn't go crazy. Like, I could say, for example, their Bastion currently has the library. It has a barracks and an armory, and that's it. But I gave them a kitchen, like, not as a facility, but like as just part of any normal household. And in fact, they just recruited one of the NPCs to be their cook. So
recruited.
Yeah, recruited.
Yeah.
Like, violently
guys
coerced.
I did see that part, by the way. That was quite a way to hire someone.
Yeah.
Somebody in Shanghai.
This here is a little, if you're on the podcast, you won't be able to see it, but it's a little behind the scenes of the Crit One boys playing. You guys sent me some assets. We kind of see the single camera view. We can see a computer here, which has the other. And it seems to be having a good time. You have a little background setup. But hey, you know what? It's a learning curve, and it's better than most people have set up. And thank the God you have a place to play, right? Your wife lets you play down there, and you have a good time.
Let's.
Yeah.
What does it cost you every week? A dinner, a movie, something else that you can't talk about?
My soul. Yeah, I mean, I basically converted what I have a finished basement. You guys had saw it when you dropped off the castle that you generously hooked us up with, and basically I converted our TV room into the studio. So, we don't watch too much TV down here anyway. So it wasn't a big conversion,
Not anymore, you don't.
Yeah.
Whatever you did watch, it's now in a number of 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dark Alchemy 3D prints some terrain and some miniatures. Our last show was Long on Tabletop. Our next show is May 17th and 18th this coming weekend. We have a table at the Cradle of Aviation Museum for CradleCon. It's more of a pop culture, comic book, nerd type of show, but hopefully there'll be Dungeons and Dragons people there, and we'll try to sell a few things there. You have some sponsorship too, Chris, right? Legendary Realms.
Yes,
gave you a
we
little
have
bit of terrain, and you got some terrain from us.
Yep, we got 2 official sponsors. LR Terrain. So they make their specialty is pre-painted, 3D printed terrain. So we hooked up with them. We met them at the Tabletop Expo also. And also our buddy Dylan over at WizardWorks. He crafts like a lot of handmade D&D accessories like lights, rugs. What else?
Did he have
dice boxes?
The dice boxes? Did he have the TV?
Yeah.
box?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he makes
does
those as well.
the TV inlaid gaming tables.
Some really nice coasters.
Coasters. He makes wands. He customs all kinds of and a lot of different types of D&D, like Chris said, accessories and different types of memorabilia, stuff like that.
So I just want to do some quick breaking news, and then I want to talk a little bit about miniatures. All right. So let me do my breaking news.
Breaking news.
Leroy Jenkins is 20 years old today.
Oh my God, this video.
Jenkins turns 20 years old. So
2.33.
Wow, the hours we spent staring at those graphics.
God, I can't. I can't tell you how many hours I wasted in World of Warcraft back in my heyday.
Yeah, I think we were all guilty of that.
Yeah, I was a big World of Warcraft fan.
So even at
the game that changed the look of orcs in D&D.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. No,
oh, really?
We had some inspiration. Yeah. So I don't know.
Orcs used to be very more boorish looking. In the older editions,
I have seen some pictures from like the earlier editions.
Yeah,
and I didn't like two together.
Yeah, once WoW got so popular, it pulled a lot of people even away from D&D, and then
bastards.
then they I think once they made Orc more playable race or whatever, that's when they designed it around that.
So I like the orcs as a playable race, but I'm kind of torn. I think you need a couple of good bad guy races or bad girl races in D&D that are just evil. Like, I understand the world we live in, it should be more accepting, and you can run your D&D campaign however you want. But listen, there's some bad, evil things, and I want to be able to beat them up. So
I treat them like I treat orcs like cats. You know, there's some feral ones, and then there's some.
There you go, Roy.
Jack Darfus gets some drunken ones.
Orc looks like.
So this is the Keep on the Borderlands artwork.
Oh wow!
In black and white, let's call it in. Yeah, the orcs were like
look
pigs,
like pigs.
And and I think there's some places in our modern world, in our modern society with science, that we're breeding human genetics with pig genetics, and I think there was even a meme. Hey guys, that's how you get orcs, or that's how you get something with experimenting with dead brain cells. That's how you get zombies. So it's like settle down. Let's keep this in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
So if you see Dungeon Master Evanson, if you look over his left shoulder there, you see some green glowing LEDs and lots of paints. If I look over Chris's left shoulder, I see lots and lots of paints. So can you guys tell me a little bit, maybe Evanson and Chris, we'll start with, tell me a little about your painting. You enjoy it? What paints you're using? How much time do you spend painting? Any tips?
I'll let you, Chris, take it. Take it away, Chris.
Sure. So I could tell you a quick story. So years and years ago, when I was away at college in Pennsylvania, I had a buddy who was one of those friends I call the unexpected nerd. Very handsome-looking individual, very athletic, but deep down, massive nerd. Loved
like Henry Cavill, right? The Lord of the Nerds.
Exactly. Big into Warhammer, big into Lord of the Rings tabletop. So he's still to this day into it. But basically, he showed me the hobby, told me all about it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it's up my alley in terms of being interested in these things. But at the time, I just wasn't ready to commit to painting and spending the time on it. He did hook me up with like a Lord of the Rings set back then. Okay. And then years went by. I dug that out of storage and I was like, you know what? Let me try again. I went out. There used to be a Game Master Games in Hicksville. And I don't know if you guys ever been to that one. It's like we used to be on 106, 107.
Yeah, I used to work at the Sears over there.
Okay. But yeah, I went in there. I spent like $120 on paints and supplies. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. Well, guess what? I didn't. So then fast forward to now. And we had started playing D&D. And I don't know if it was my idea in general or we all kind of talked about it. Like, how cool would it be to, have, because we started playing with the minis and we said, how cool would it be if we could paint these? And I said, you know what? Let me go dig those paints out. And they were actually a bunch of Citadel paints, which is some pretty good quality stuff. And I'd say about 75% of what I had that I purchased over a decade ago were actually still viable. And I was able to revive them and still use them. But I did have to throw out a decent amount of them, which kind of sucked, completely dried up. But yeah, I mean, I love painting. I spend hours every week doing it. And
sometimes it's a good mental escape too.
Dude, I throw a podcast on or, a mindless video and I just go at it, And yeah, I mean, as far as what exactly I'm using, I use a mix. I use Citadel. I use Vallejo. I got some of the Army Painter stuff, like their Game Master Edition paints.
The new Army Painter stuff is solid. The first edition or the first series a couple of years ago, I didn't think it was great, but the new stuff is top notch. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm intermediate level as far as the grand scheme of things. I know there's a lot more time and effort and studying needed to get to the next level. But you know what? I'm painting to have fun, and I'm painting to play. I'm not really. I don't know if I'll ever want to get to the point of painting to win competitions or for display purposes, you know. But
it's good from 3 feet away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
that's exactly how far away the cameras are. By the way, just
perfect
distance.
Austin and Mike, you guys do any painting?
Mike.
So it's funny. So I've been dogging Chris for a while because Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Chris enjoys painting terrain, I think, more than he enjoys painting the characters.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I've been dogging him because in our shelf but in Chris's shelf in his basement, there's a lot of unpainted minis that are still in there. So I keep thinking, I'm like, stop painting random terrain, paint the characters. So he was like, well, you take some home and you try to paint them.
The shiny stuff syndrome.
And it's, but so this is kind of unrelated, but 3 out of the, like with all 4 of us, there's like one complete able visioned person. So like I'm colorblind, Matt's colorblind, Austin has one eye. Like none of us. So
You're
I
right,
did.
Chris.
So if Chris's minis are like 3 feeters, like they're good from 3 feet, I painted a handful. They're probably more like 20 feeters. Where it's yes, they're painted and there's colors on them.
You know what? I gotta say, Mike, you put some cool designs on them though. I gave him a couple like generic guards to paint, and to my surprise, like he came back with them, and I was like, dude, these look like Templar knights. Like he painted like cool designs on their cloaks and their shields, and I was like, not bad to be honest. Like
that was,
you know, need a lot of practice, but it was a good idea.
Mike, if you're colorblind, just paint gypsies.
There you go.
Give him all the like gypsies and traveling people to paint.
Well, that's like what he's saying. The knight like guard kind of figures that he gave me, like they have like bright yellow and red capes and blue and green and silver.
Yeah, I think you're also working off like 8 different colors that you have in your collection over there.
I was not spending a lot of money.
Well, speed paints have come a long way. You prime them white, you hit it with the wash of speed paint, and then you hit some highlights, and like I said, and you're done. How about you, Dave? DM Evanson, any painting advice? Any thoughts on painting?
It's a love-hate relationship with me. I sometimes get in the mood where I'm just like painting like crazy, but I'm my own worst critic, so I just sometimes rather just like give someone cash and be like, you do it for me. There's so much to paint for D&D, especially the amount villagers and monsters and terrain, and just chip away at it little by little.
And there's never the one that you want in the scenario when you need it.
Yeah, or the one you start painting and you end up never using it, and then
I feel like the way that at least I try to paint, or like we try to keep it in line, is like paint stuff that we think could be used in multiple situations. Like if I paint this bookshelf, like obviously there's going to be a bookshelf in all different scenarios, not just like one thing,
Sure.
But it's also fun to paint those like unique models that are going to pop up, like
Matt
for example, we bought Matt gave me like a walrus person. I was like, what the hell am I doing with this? Like
walrus character now, so NPC.
But we actually Matt had purchased a Tiamat, and I painted that, and that was a lot of fun.
That's a big one.
So speaking of miniatures in general, you got to paint, you got them on the board. It's part of the live stream. How tactical are you with the miniatures? How much theater to mind? When we play, most of the players, they look forward to putting down miniatures, and we use a grid map, or we have an overhead projector going down, which also has a grid map on it. We have a friend who can print large scale format, 2 or 3 feet by unlimited length, so we put some big mats down. The players really seem to like counting those boxes and being like, I'm 30 feet away, I cast this spell, I go here. Dave likes putting out monsters. He put down 4 ogres and like 15 bandits last night, and it was just a big mess, but it was tactical. We had some 3D printed buildings, and it was a good night. So let me start with Austin. How do you like the tactics and using miniatures?
I think especially for this campaign specifically, being like a rogue, having like my hand crossbow, trying to like sneak at certain distances and work my way into different scenarios, having the visualization of it and knowing like where people relative are. Can I see this person? What if I move around this way and get behind this thing? I just think having that visualization and being able to like physically count the boxes and trying to like really plan out your next move and trying to stay ahead of the game. Especially being like the whole mastermind subclass where it's like I'm kind of like trying to like think and strategize and really use those help tactics as I can as my bonus action to help out my companions, because I have to be within shouting distance of them 30 feet. So just trying to position myself strategically around Mike and Matt so that I can help them while also dealing out big damage. It's very helpful, and I really like it.
I haven't looked into the mastermind too much. Can you try to pull it up, Scott, if you can later?
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about the help action or the mastermind off the top of your head if you know it?
Yeah. So one of the big things behind it is you can use the help action as a bonus action.
Okay.
So I can, as a bonus action, I have it on my phone right here. There we go. Master tax. You can use the help action as a bonus action. When you use the help action, you can use it to aid an ally in attacking a creature, and the target can be within 30 feet of me as long as they can see or hear me.
Okay. Wow, that's good. So are you considered like the leader as the mastermind? I mean, I know you're all thieves and you're all kind of doing your own thing. But you consider like, is this somebody who kind of takes the lead and says this, or is it more like a council of evil people?
I think I would say like Dangar is more the leader because he kind of put three of us together. But I would say Thaddeus is just, he respects Dangar, but he does have his own agenda that he's kind of working with as well. So it's more like that. Like, we make an agreement and I'll honor that agreement because I'm a loyal evil. So if we
you cut out Austin.
No, we just lost Austin. Okay, well, I'm gonna remove him from the stage, and we will talk to him in a second. We'll have.
There we go. Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah, you're
back.
Yep, you're back.
There you go. Sorry about that.
We lost you. I don't know. So there was the mastermind was didn't want to stop. So it's all good. I was
just gonna say, just to add on to what Austin was saying, though, basically that I feel like they're in a gang, all the players, but like Austin said, everybody's got kind of their own agenda. They're all trying to like do their side hustle and make their own money. Dangar's trying to regain his family's honor. So it's also they're all mutually together, but everyone's kind of doing their own thing at the same time as well.
It's definitely been a new dynamic for us from the first two campaigns where it was like, the party was, that was the party. They were companions. They were all working together. It's been kind of interesting navigating that dynamic where we're kind of keeping each other at arm's length. Like, we're helping each other for the time being, but it's like, how much trust do I really want to place in you, even though we're working together? And it's that there has been a little bit of a struggle between Thaddeus and Dangar going back and forth. Like it's been interesting to kind of work through that while also kind of dealing with what we're trying to do. Like if we're trying to accomplish something and Thaddeus, wants to kind of do his own thing and sneak off to the side, and Dangar is like, no, I need you stay right here where I can see you. So it's been kind of fun. And then Jack's character, or Matt's character, Jack, kind of leans more towards Thaddeus because they have that relationship of both worshiping Mask. But Jack's character is, he's the tank of the group. He's the one who he barrels in, and it's kind of Thaddeus and Dangar pulling the strings in the background more.
So the help action that gives an advantage of the Master of Tactics, right? The help is a bonus action, and you can aid an ally attacking a creature within 30 feet. So that's going to give them advantage on an attack. You'll be able to shoot them or stab them. At 13, so you're 12th level. You haven't had the 13th level option of misdirection yet. Beginning at 13th level, you can cause another creature to suffer an attack meant for you. When targeted by an attack, within 5 feet, it's granted cover. You can use a reaction to have them attack you instead. But I don't know. Would the mastermind want to be attacked instead? I don't know. I think maybe he might not want to.
No. You can make the guy giving you cover be attacked. So if you're fighting somebody and there's an archer shooting at you, you've got cover from your opponent. You dodge left, and your opponent takes the shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Screw you.
Yep.
I like that. For Chris, what level do you expect this campaign to go to? Because you take turns being dungeon masters. You're at 12th. When do you expect to wrap it up? Or what level do you expect to wrap up at?
I'd say at least 13 or 14. I don't know if they'll get to 15. That's kind of pushing it. I'm not trying to stretch this campaign out for like 6 more months, Sure. But I think they'll push at least another level or two, and I'm comfortable with that. And I think they'd be they'd be satisfied. And just as a sidebar too, one thing we had discussed and in general is like we're all honest with each other. We all critique each other for good or bad on our DMing skills and as players. But one thing I had mentioned before going into my campaign was, you know what? We really didn't have like any loot or items in our last 2 campaigns. So I definitely wanted to implement that in mine. And they haven't seen much of it, even though we're on session 7. But I told them that there's definitely going to be some loot. So don't worry, guys.
He says it won't take 6 months, but we'll make it last
see.
6 months. Don't you worry.
I will say that is one of my favorite things about us streaming versus not, is it has held us to playing every other week. Like with the other campaigns where it's like, oh, we got stuff going. I mean, the 3 of us are like, we all have kids, we all have jobs, like we're all married. We all have plenty of different things going on.
Yeah.
But like the fact that we're trying to keep the stream consistent so that if we have whatever small audience we have, they can kind of stay in tune with us and follow the story. That's been one of my favorite things about it, is that, okay, we're playing every 2 weeks. We're playing like, it keeps the story fresh. It's, we don't have a month go by between sessions, and it's been good.
Yeah, you tell all the bosses, right? You tell ladies, we got the stream going on. It's very important.
I mean, how can they complain? We're in my basement, like we're behaving ourselves. We're not, doing anything shady, and we're just playing a nerdy game.
We're not going out to the bars and getting.
That's always the argument. I'm not spending money on. I'm not spending money on. I'm not wasting money on drinks at the bar.
No, I'm just wasting money on plastic figures,
which probably is more expensive.
Yeah,
and cameras and lights and backdrops.
Yeah.
So, any parting words of wisdom from DM Evanson for this group of Crit One and Done?
Yeah, stay at it. Keep getting the reps in, and it's good to see. And I'm looking to see how it develops as time goes on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We met you guys at Long Island Tabletop, and we sold you some training
one more
stuff.
question.
We'll become friends. Go ahead, Professor.
Who's going to run the next campaign?
That's Mike.
Go back to Mike. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to be up next.
We already have characters made, and Mike's been working on his campaigns and kind of explain the background of it. So we're excited for that to come up too.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, when that happens, maybe we can come back on and we can have the characters made up, and we can pull the characters up like we did on the screen you saw here. And we kind of do a character review for our characters. We may do a character review if you guys are interested in that.
Yeah, for sure.
And Austin will be taking a turn too at game mastering after Mike.
Yep, I'm up next. I already have the setting planned out for mine, and I'm starting to work on where they'll be working, where they'll be playing out of.
Can you share the setting, or is that a spoiler?
Oh no, I think I already told them. I'm looking to do it out of Neverwinter in Faerun.
Nice.
Okay.
So I got the location picked out. I still have to. So I'm working on getting the background of the city and some side towns, some local towns nearby, because I don't know if I want to start them in the main city or close to the Neverwinter Woods and by some of the small villages there. But I'm already printing out the information, trying to get an idea for what the city looks like, the economy, the who's in charge, what all that stuff is like.
Yeah,
and it's, even though I won't be playing or DMing for over a year, I already have my next idea in the works. So.
Wow. Looking far ahead. Well, it's good you guys are sticking together, and you can actually take turns doing the campaign. Dave is kind of a forever DM, although we bring him into. We started up a second night, and it's a Monster Hunters Guild at Erendor near the swamp. But it's a game that I can do one shots. Maybe 1 week. 2 or 3 people can't make it and say, hey, Dave, bring your character. Yeah, here's one of the recruits. He's here to Monster Hunt, and we do a Monster Hunt one shot or a little.
I love dying in one shots, though.
Yeah. With the one shots, you don't have to hold back so much.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that I gave the guys a heads up for my campaign that's going to be coming up. Is I told them I want them to each have 2 characters because mine is going to be very survival based. It's going to be brutal. I crafted a whole barren wasteland kind of world from scratch, and I'm starting them at level 1, super squishy player characters and in an unforgiving environment. So I gave them that heads up.
When you start from scratch, it's a mission. Before you know it, you have a 500-page notebook, and it's just so much work. Anything to add, Chris? Anything to add, Professor?
No.
Basically, you know, some shameless self promotion. Just check us out on Instagram and Twitch. We stream pretty much every 2 weeks. We're streaming tomorrow. That's May 16th, 9 p.m. And we're really excited because we're going to have our first in-person guest playing along with us. And that's Dylan from Wizard Works, one of our sponsors.
Do you have a set day that you play weekly?
No, we don't. I mean, we try to play on either Friday or Saturday, just because weekends are easier and no work to worry about the next day. But
we've been pretty good with keeping it to Fridays.
Cool.
Yeah,
we shifted around when we have to, but we try to keep it every other Friday.
Excellent.
So follow Crit One and Done at Instagram, Crit_1_N_Done on the screen. You can find all the social links there. Dark Alchemy will be at CradoCon, May 17th and 18th, Cradle of Aviation Museum. That's this coming weekend. Follow DM Roy, that's me, at Dark Alchemy Limited. That's Dark Alchemy LTD. All the socials there on YouTube. Follow Dungeon Master Evanson at DM_Evanson for all his socials. He's also on Twitch. The best way to support us is to subscribe at Adventurers Wanted. Subscribe today. Please share the channel. And if you guys could share whoever you know with this channel, we're trying to grow to 500. That's our next goal. And I hope you guys have a great campaign. And thank you so much for coming on and being our largest group interview so far. 6 people on the screen is very exciting. And I will send you an audio, video copy of this. An email, we'll get it to you. You can use it however you want, your socials, your media, and let's just grow as a community.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Night, guys.
Take